This is the Speak For Yourself podcast featuring the best of Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. I'm your host, Jason McIntyre. Some unsurprising NBA playoff games last night. Hey, I told you guys, James Harden's the MVP. All right, on to the show. Whitlock claims this is the best we have ever seen of LeBron James, but Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard says no way. LeBron's defense is not as good in his 14th season. He used to shut down the team's best player. Remember when he stopped Derrick Rose, guys? Colin Cowherd thinks that the Spurs head coach, Greg Popovich, is overrated, and he reminds us he only has one title in the last 10 years. I need a fact check here. Did the Spurs win 60 games this year or not? Oh, yeah, they won 60 games, but they lose one to the Rockets, and they're overrated. Gotta love Cowherd. We invite former Super Bowl champ Eric Davis to talk about the Adam Jones situation in Fenway. And former NBA champ Eddie House, who's a former Boston Celtic, argues this is not a Boston issue. Plus, we talk about Nick Saban's new $4 million extension. Ready for Speak For Yourself? Cowherd and Whitlock, take it away.
Welcome to the show. We'll tell you why this may be the best LeBron we've ever seen.
And why Greg Popovich might actually be overrated. There's no actually about it. Speak For Yourself starts right now.
Oh, my God.
What?
You're going to argue Pop's overrated. I got to hear this.
You better listen.
I got to hear this.
It's going to be very good.
Hello and welcome. We're joined today by Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard and NBA champion Eddie House. Let's start in Cleveland, where the Cavaliers toyed with the Raptors last night, cruising to an 11-point victory. LeBron is nearly averaging a triple-double and shooting a career high from three-point range in these playoffs. And last night was so easy that he even decided to grab a beer during the game. Here's LeBron on his choice of beverage.
You know, my momentum just took me to the sideline, and I'm not going to run over our beer lady, you know, and she had one, you know, in her hand, so I took it out of her hand. But not much of a beer guy. If she'd had some red wine, I probably would have definitely took a sip.
LeBron had that dunk off the backboard in the first quarter, and then he grabbed the beer after Ibaka tied him up. I mean, do you guys pay any attention to that? It's not something you normally see in a playoff game, but any thoughts on that?
No. I think I would have rather heard LeBron on his choice of shirts. But anyway, I want to say, LeBron, is this the best LeBron we've ever seen?
It is, because I think he's like any player. He's smarter 10 years later. He's a more mature player. He's clearly, like LeBron's now a better three-point shooter. You know, it's like, in a way, it's like acting. Like Ryan Gosling is at his hunkiest, right? And the young actress is at her, you know, they say the starlet at 22 is her most beautiful. But they're both better actors 12 years later. You know, like Matt Damon may not be the Good Will Hunting. Everybody thinks he's the heartthrob Matt Damon, but Matt Damon's a better actor today than the Good Will Hunting Matt Damon. LeBron could chase you down and block the shots, and his dunks were, but the maturity, his pacing, his ability now to get on the phone, get players. If you encompass all LeBron, this is the best total basketball player I've ever seen.
I think without question, it's the best. Just the efficiency from three-point range, the fully developed low post game. LeBron is as unstoppable as I think as we've ever seen him. You know, I've got to raise my approval rating. He's around 76, 77% now.
How's he going to get out of the 70s? What's he got to do to get out of the 70s?
What does he have to do? I can't say it's the best that we've ever seen because he continues to surprise me as a former teammate and get better every year. Who in their 14th year gets better in assists and rebounds?
It's incredible.
So I can't say that this is the best we ever seen because we got to see him next year. Now, if we see a little decline, then we could come back, revisit this question and say, yes, that was the best we've ever seen. But the best I have ever seen him do is take over games as far as isolating and saying, hey, I'm going to do this. And that's that dog coming out of him. You know, and everybody's been questioning, does he have that? We got to remember he was a young pup. Now he's a full-grown dog.
I agree with a lot of what you guys have said, and I'll say he's the only player in history that in his 14th year has been the best in the world. There's no other player in NBA history. Jordan's last title was his 13th year, then he retired. But I would push back a little on whether or not this is the best LeBron because he's not the defender he used to be. Like when you play with him. In fact, when y'all played Chicago in the playoffs in 2011, y'all lost to the Bulls in the first game, from games, the rest of the series, LeBron guarded Derrick Rose. And I don't want to say shut him down, but really made it tough on him.
Slowed him down.
That's the only thing. He's not quite the defender. Like, he didn't really guard Paul George much in that first series against Indiana. Occasionally.
Okay, but like take for instance, Tom Brady. Tom Brady, about 3 years ago, doesn't throw the deep ball. But I think this is the best Brady I've ever seen. So again, LeBron doesn't chase you down and block it. But there was sometimes a recklessness to LeBron where he was almost like Westbrook. And that, I mean, when LeBron got going.
Do you think, though, Chris, he's choosing not to be that defender? I still think he has it in him.
I don't think he has the athleticism as much as he used to. He's still very athletic, but not like he was a few years ago to be that type of defender.
I think he is that type of defender if he wants to be. When it comes down to it in the finals, we will see that type of defender because that's what it's going to take for them to win. But now, they have defenders on their team, so they don't have to really worry. He doesn't have to worry about guarding the best guy here. J.R. Smith has played the best defense he's played his whole career. This year, J.R. Smith has played the best defense. And Shumpert as well. So he got two guys that he can rely on.
I agree with you. I think in those key moments he will, but he used to do it
because he had nobody else that could do it for him.
He's playing a career high in minutes. If he were playing at a super high level on both ends, I don't know if he'd be able to play 43 minutes a night like he's playing in the playoffs.
To me, this is LeBron. This is like, did Halle Berry look better yesterday or today? I mean, this is what he does. We've all seen him in the playoffs he's only played, 5 games? I watched him against Orlando average 38 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. They lost that series. But before that, they won the first 8 in Atlanta and Chicago, and he averaged the same numbers he's doing now, or close.
But
like, this is what LeBron does.
No, but you pointed out earlier, if you really think about what efficiency is, it's just smarter shots. I mean, that's all efficiency is. Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook, Chris is really efficient. LeBron, Kurt Schilling told me at the end of his career, he knew he went into a game with about 12 98-mile-an-hour fastballs. He had about 12. He had to use them. I think LeBron's so smart, he realizes, Jordan did this. I'll play in spurts. 4-minute dominating spurts. LeBron used to just
43 minutes a night.
I know, but he's still playing.
He coast some. Yeah,
he does coast some. Michael Jordan was really smart. Yep. Kobe did this. They found these 4-minute crucial spurts and take the game over.
And he also has Kyrie to rely on offensively, so he could take breaks offensively more so than he could before when he was playing all those minutes and had nobody else to dominate the ball, to take the ball away from him.
Yeah. I'm not saying he hasn't been terrific. I'm just saying this is what he does. Like, I can't say this is the best ever that we've seen.
To San Antonio, where the Spurs suffered their worst home playoff loss in franchise history at the hands of James Harden and the Rockets, who are going to win this series. Afterward, Greg Popovich was his usual cheerful self.
Do you worry about carryover for a game like this in the game 2 or not?
I'm going to try to be nice. I'm going to really try. Am I going to worry about carryover, like we'll come and play just as badly again, or the guys won't show up, or last time I checked, I was a coach, and there's not much that coaches don't worry about. But that won't be one of them, in all honesty.
All right, Whitlock. You going to blame Popovich as you should, or just defend him?
I'm not going to defend Popovich, but I'm not going to blame him when LaMarcus Aldridge is getting paid $20 million and has gone MIA. I'm embarrassed to admit this. There was a time, I think 2 years ago, when I thought LaMarcus Aldridge was the 3rd best player in the league. I absolutely loved his game. This guy last night was turning down wide open looks. His confidence completely stolen, a shell of himself mentally. And I think he's lost his legs. And so he's supposed to be Robin to Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, but who chose him? By the way, this is the same guy, Popovich, who initially on the 3 ball was reluctant. This is the guy that has, unlike Belichick, who doesn't fall in love with players. He falls in like with athletes.
Unlike he's the Bill Belichick of the NBA.
Belichick constantly evolves.
So does Pop.
And they're the Patriots of the NBA.
Exactly.
Tony Parker. Belichick would have moved off him 2 years ago. Manu, this team is old. The best three-point shooter is Pau Gasol.
But you can only have so much wiggle room when you go out and you sign LaMarcus Aldridge as a free agent. You paid Kawhi the max. I mean, they would love to get another starter at point guard but Tony Parker, but they can't. I can't blame it. And as far as evolving, that's all Pop has done. That's why I think he's arguably the best coach in NBA history. With Duncan and Robinson, it was inside-out, Twin Towers defense. When Duncan got older, it became Tony Parker, pick and roll. We're more offensive-oriented. Then he adjusted to the three-pointer when they beat Miami in 2014. Now he's ISO with Kawhi and Aldridge. I mean, now you see him actually 4 down or high pick and roll with Kawhi because nobody else is giving him anything. Like, he adjusts more than any coach.
This is an old, decrepit roster.
And exactly, and he's got them 61 wins.
And they looked old. They did look old, but you can't blame Popovich for 14 points between 3 guys at your 4 position. David Lee, Paul Gasol, and LaMarcus Aldridge. You only get 14 points out there. I don't care what you're going to lose them games. They're playing heavy minutes. You need more production out of all 3 of them guys. They don't have rim protection. He's not out there trying to protect the rim. He's not out there late on rotations. He's not out there not showing on pick and rolls. He's not out there not running guys off a three-point line. It's not his fault. All he can do is give them a game plan and say, go execute it. They did not execute the game plan.
Okay, no titles before Duncan. Now they look old.
Well, he only coached 1 year before Duncan.
I mean, by the way,
David Robinson was hurt.
Right. It is like Duncan sort of fell into his lap.
No question. But who's won without him?
But first of all, when Tim Duncan came into the league, did anybody think, hey, this is going to be one of the 10 greatest players of all time?
No, they knew he was going to be.
No.
They knew he was going to be a Hall of Famer.
When Kawhi Leonard shows up, did anybody think, oh, this is going to be one of the 3?
No.
This guy maxes out his players, man.
I think he's.
Tim Duncan.
Are you saying he's overrated, Pop?
A little bit.
Hey, when he doesn't like somebody, he just lets them have it. When he likes them, he loves them. There's no in between. He either loves you or hates you.
I'm not saying.
Now that Westbrook is gone, you had to pick somebody else.
Right, you had to find somebody.
I'm not saying I don't like him, but I'm saying it's almost like the Colts and Andrew Luck. Yet nobody disputed Duncan was going to be a all-star. He was a dominant player.
There's nobody in this world.
Had Jordan,
Jackson,
Shaq.
Phil Jackson won
Nobody thought Kawhi was going to be what he. No, Duncan.
But
Duncan came out.
They were the greatest
we
ever.
He was going to be that. Duncan was that man when he came out. Everybody knew that this guy was going to be a Hall of Famer. They was like, this is a potential Hall of Famer right here when he came out. But not Kawhi.
By the way, Popovich has
came out of
one
nowhere.
title in 10 years.
But Belichick was there before last year. He had only won 1 in 10 years. But both of them are there every year.
I know
what it is. I know what it is. You don't like Pop for his interviews on the sideline. He doesn't give us any love, right?
No, I've experienced that, so I'm with you on that.
That's what it is.
He's a jerk, just like Belichick. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But Belichick moves off personnel quickly.
It's easier to move off personnel in the NFL. Yeah. They don't have guaranteed contracts.
Exactly.
If Popovich had that and they got all the revenue sharing and they live in Boston, this guy's operating in a small market in San Antonio and has built a dynasty and maxed out Kawhi Leonard. And again,
by the way,
I thought Duncan was going to be good, but I didn't think 5 titles.
Okay, by the way, Golden State's 4 stars are all 26, 27, 28 in their prime. This is over. There's no more titles for Pop. You're not winning with Kawhi Leonard against that Warrior team. And I think Houston and Minnesota, I'm telling you, we look at Pop. Duncan leaving.
R.C. Buford.
No, I think he's
Let me say this. If all he does is win 5 titles, oh, my God, what a failure he is. All right, welcome back. Eric Davis and Eddie House are back with us. Let's move to Boston, where Orioles center fielder Adam Jones says he was berated with racist taunts by Red Sox fans during last night's game at Fenway. Explains Jones after the game, quote, "A disrespectful fan threw a bag of peanuts at me. I was called the N-word a handful of times tonight. Thanks. Pretty awesome. I heard there were 59 or 60 ejections tonight in the ballpark. It's unfortunate that people need to resort to those types of epithets to degrade another human being. I'm trying to make a living for myself and for my family." All right, Commissioner Rob Manfred addressed the incident today, saying, quote, "The racist words and actions directed at Adam Jones at Fenway Park last night are completely unacceptable and will not be tolerated at any of our ballparks. My office has been in contact with the Red Sox, and the club has made it clear that they will not tolerate this inexcusable behavior. Any individual who behaves in such offensive fashion will be immediately removed from the ballpark and subject to further action. Colin, what's your reaction to this story?
Well, baseball is an old sport. It is rigid. It's the only sport where they say there's a way to play. It's not even tolerant of allowing you to glance at a home run for a 2-second beat. This is a sport in which I think it's difficult to often be a black player. Let me tell you a story from somebody we both know, Stephen A. Smith at another network. And he said something on the air that I thought was very interesting. He said, if you were a young black player, baseball's the only sport that the games aren't televised. And he said, if you had minor league baseball, he said, I would never choose the sport. He said, if I celebrate or I have a great game and I do something, it's just an old white manager against a young black player, and I'm buried. In football, you'd have video in college. In college basketball, you would to support me. And Stephen A. went on to say, and I told him at the time, I'd never thought about this, but baseball has an infrastructure which is incredibly insular. There's a way to play. They are often rough on players who are celebrators. Some players are just more celebratory. I don't know what happened here, but I know Boston's history. I've heard this before. CC Sabathia, according to you, has another quote about some intolerance he faced. I tend to believe the player.
Yeah, I tend to believe Adam Jones here. This speaks to the dichotomy, the bizarre dichotomy between David Ortiz being this beloved Boston Red Sox player and somehow their fan base or a segment of their fan base thinking that this type of behavior is acceptable and appropriate towards opposing players of color. And then I also, whenever something like this happens at a stadium, I always question the people around. The guy that shouted or the people that shouted, how did the people around them react? Was there no reaction? Did the fans there say, hey, man, this is BS. Cool. You know, let's stop this. I've seen it happen. I've been in an arena where it's happened at a basketball arena, and I turn around trying to figure out who it was, and none of the people around are reacting as if they didn't hear it. This is unfortunate.
This right here is not a baseball issue. This is a country issue. This is about individual ignorance. And as you said, this person is going to say something. How are the people around him going to react? You know, Adam Jones had something thrown at him in San Francisco. Once before, okay? That's a pretty liberal place, as we all know. So so you can't say, well, this is Boston. I know Boston's history, but this is about an individual. Just like how I get things on Twitter, because people feel this is someone's ignorance, and my way of getting back at you, I'm going to throw the N-word at you because in my small, feeble mind, that is the harshest thing I can throw at you and get at you because I want to try in some way to make you feel less than what you are, and that's what I'm going to do. And that's what someone sitting in the grandma's basement in their tidy whities wants to do from time to time. This is one of those situations when he's feeling safe behind the fence, knowing that nothing can be done to him in this situation. I can say whatever I want to say to you and try to belittle you, knowing that all you can do is sit and watch, and they feel good about themselves in that situation. So baseball should at least, if nothing else, ban someone from being in a game.
Oh, for life.
You don't come back for life.
Absolutely.
Well, we know the history of Boston from back in the day and the civil rights and stuff like that, and the black cloud that's over them as being a racist city. Well, I played in Boston, and in Boston, I don't think this is a reflection of everybody in Boston.
Right.
I think it is a reflection of, like you said, an ignorant person that thinks that just because he bought a ticket stub, that he's allowed to say and do whatever he wants to do, that gives him the right to do whatever he wants with no repercussions. Now, my question is this. If he was walking down the street, would he have thrown a bag of peanuts at him and said that?
Of course not.
Of course not, right? So if you're not going to do it then don't do it. If you're not going to do it, if you see him on the street, don't do it then because you feel that you are protected. And I believe that it's a shame that this man is going there to work and he's getting heckled that way. That's just like somebody coming up to us right now while we're doing this and getting in our ears and throwing something at us while we're trying to work and be professional and support our family.
I mean, do you buy any of what I'm saying in the rigidity of baseball, the insular nature of it?
Well, again, I don't want to put this on baseball as much as I want to put this is fan behavior. Yeah. And what Eric's talking about is the anonymity of fan behavior. And
but
again,
it's not real anonymous sitting in a crowd.
No, but it is. It's almost like sitting in a crowd and throwing it out, and no one can identify exactly what it is.
And there are no repercussions.
It's the same as Twitter.
Like throwing a rock
why
and hiding
people
your
throw
hand.
out stuff over Twitter that they would never say in person, they would never do in person. And so anonymity is like a coward's best friend and an ignorant person's best friend. And I look at this behavior, and I don't want to reduce it to baseball. This is the behavior of idiots who use anonymity to take pot shots and try to belittle people to build themselves up. Because anytime you start tossing that word around, you're really talking about your own insecurities and trying to push someone down so you stand taller. It's embarrassing.
Does it happen more with baseball? Less? I just don't remember other sports where this feels like the second or third.
Oh, no, it happens in football.
Yeah.
I know it's happened to me at football.
Okay.
I've been in stadiums where people say things because they can hide behind the rail, and they know that nothing, you can't, if I leave the field to go and have a face-to-face with this person, now I'm the bad guy.
All right, welcome back. Boy, we're going to disagree on this one. Eric Davis is back. We're joined by the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. College football, let's talk it. Nick Saban just signed a reasonable 8-year, $65 million contract extension to remain Bama's head coach through the 2024 season. Saban's not the only one getting paid in Tuscaloosa. The entire Crimson Tide staff's going to make over $17 million combined next year, which prompted an interesting response from our good friend Joel Klatt, who tweeted, quote, Saban getting a $4 million bonus as part of an extension could pay every player $38,000 this year if that student went to a student athlete, All right, Whitlock. Got a problem with Bama paying the best coaching staff a lot of money?
The best coaching staff is getting $17.6 million.
Yeah.
You got the OC or the DC getting $1.3 million, the OC $1.2 million, the co-DC $950,000, and the co-OC getting $600,000.
So you're against great people getting paid greatly.
Yeah, because what's the guy, Jalen Hurt? He's great too. Where's his slice of the pie?
So are our interns.
Huh?
We don't pay them.
And I complain about it constantly. You know how many times I've been up in Horowitz's office?
By the way, I'm not anti-player, especially with these digital rights and merchandise. I think you should cut checks for players when they leave. I read Tim Tebow and Reggie Bush were worth a lot of money. But let me just say this. So Harbaugh, college sports is about the coach. It's about the coach. Kentucky basketball.
No, it's about the players, but go ahead.
No, I mean, if it's about the players, then why is Michigan before Harbaugh awful?
No,
USC's
You're talking about wins and losses.
Yeah.
I'm talking about what's the game really about. It's about the student athletes.
College athletes are replaceable. If they weren't, then Alabama
let
would
the coaches
always
do
win.
it. And let's pay the coaches in tuition and the players cash.
Well, now, do I think the players should be paid? Yes. I think that the student athletes should be paid, and I get that. But now, back to the question you're asking, do I think that, am I okay with what they're paying this coaching staff? Yes, I am. Because you talk about the players are the game. Well, this coaching staff is the staff that gets those players to come to that school.
They recruit them.
They recruit those guys. That's a part of it.
Guys that recruit them are at the bottom of this pay scale, by the way.
Well, but that's a part of moving up. That's why Saban's coaches go elsewhere and get head coaching jobs, even whether they deserve them or not. That's a part of it. Nick Saban also, you think about the money that he brings to the state of Alabama. This is a pro team. This is a pro team. That's why he's getting paid like a pro coach, and his staff is paid like pros.
That's a great point, Eric, and money is at the root of this, guys. The profit that the football program made in 2016.
What was it?
$47 million.
And there it is.
Pay for 70% of his in 1 year.
Alabama can't have swimming and track and field and all those other sports if not for the football program. So while I do believe that the football coaching staff is worth the $17 million, I also can agree with you that the players should be paid. And guys, one last note here. Can we close the door on Nick Saban in the NFL? This contract extension locks him down to the NFL. To college football.
If college sports isn't about the coach, then why did Harbaugh get 11 guys drafted to the NFL? Those were all Brady hoax recruits.
Listen, you're making a different point. Winning is about the coach.
Yes.
College athletics is allegedly about the athletes. And that's why I think things are upside down. Again, allegedly you're there to educate and teach and do all these other things, and winning is the icing on the cake. Look, I get that winning is everything, but the sport is about the players and the people that take the risk.
Okay.
And they're generating the money that Nick Saban and now all of his coaching staff and the swim team and the diving team and everybody that doesn't look like the players is getting a nice benefit from the labor of the players.
Let's talk about a law school. Okay, Yale's got a good law school, Duke, Cal, Virginia, Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
The professors get paid big money, the students don't. Those students become partners in law firms, build the equity of that university's
they
law
don't
school.
generate a dime while they're there.
No, that law school is a wildly...
They don't generate a dime. The students
absolutely. They don't generate any money, and they can also get paid. They can be on work study and get paid while they are students.
By
taking
law
those
firms. My best friend owns a law firm, and I got a friend of mine an internship there. Hell, they got paid quite well.
Colin, why is this so difficult? They made $47 million in 2016. Why can't the players see a cut? That's all we're looking for.
I'm not anti-players getting distributions when they leave college, cut them a check, pay them. I'm not anti-player. What I'm anti is the envy over Nick Saban's money. Give you an example. Any coach at Alabama would make $4, so he's going to make $8. So let's squabble about the $4 million. If there was a device that said, $4 million a year for this device, weight room facilities, guaranteed to play for national titles, you'd be like, I'll pay for the device. Oregon spent $68 million on a facility. This year, no players drafted to the NFL. If they spent that money on Saban, Oregon have a national title and 18 guys in the NFL. So we don't like
well, some of that's recruiting, because you talked about Michigan and the guys that went there. Jim Harbaugh didn't recruit all those guys.
No, but I'm saying we're anti-human making $8 million. But we'll spend $800 million on facilities and nobody blinks an eye.
Well, I'm anti everything but the players getting a cut of the pie. All right, welcome back. Chris Broussard and Jason McIntyre are back with us. The top-seeded Warriors kick off their second-round series against the Jazz tonight, though apparently they'd rather be playing the Clippers. A few Warriors made it very clear they don't like playing in Salt Lake City, with Matt Barnes saying, quote, there's no nightlife in Utah. Obviously, as players, you want to be able to have a little bit of a nightlife. But the main focus is winning games. But as far as nightlife, there's no comparison to nightlife in Utah and L.A. And Andre Iguodala added, the problem with Utah is that you're just sitting there and your mind's like dead, because in L.A., you still got energy for the game. Meanwhile, Jazz forward Joe Ingles had some advice for anyone looking for some excitement.
They still go to LA between the games if they want. They got enough money to pay for a jet to go over for the night and come back on game day. So if they want the entertainment, more than they can drive to Vegas too if they really want. I'll hire the car for them.
Colin, was it dumb for the Warriors to mock Utah before the start of the series?
Not great. Yeah, I don't think Steve Kerr, who's not with the team every day now, I don't think it was good. I don't think you ever give a rival motivation. I mean, we all know who's the better roster.
Fan base motivation. I don't think the players can.
You don't think it was disrespectful?
Rival's a little strong.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just
going down in 4.
Whoa, no respect for the Jazz? Come on, Chris.
They
played them tough this regular season.
What do you think don't happen?
I think it's going to be competitive. I'll say 5. I think.
Oh, that's super competitive. Listen, Utah doesn't really deserve any respect. These comments are irrelevant. No, seriously, they're irrelevant.
The state, the franchise.
Golden State is going to run through them. You know,
doesn't it tell you though, Jason? I mean, doesn't it tell you? Golden State. I know the West, Broussard. The West is so deep. What does it tell you in the second round? The Warrior players are mocking.
You don't think they'd be saying that about the Raptors?
I've never heard one player mock San Antonio as a Warrior.
San Antonio's a lot different. You're not going to mock San Antonio. Look, I'm with you. It's not a good look. Not because Utah's going to make them pay for it or anything like that. They might get one game. But it just doesn't look good for what your end goal is. Like, I don't want my players thinking about the nightlife in the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
right?
You made a good point, Chris, mentioning Steve Kerr not there. Is this the first sign? To me, it is. Listen, no Steve Kerr.
Draymond was going off with Steve Kerr there, so let's not act like
Draymond likes Mike Brown. He's got him as a puppet. That's his guy. Draymond and Steve Kerr have some beef. There is some warring there in the locker room. That's happened all year. You know that.
My takeaway with Jason, when they said this, I thought Kerr would be furious.
This is out of character.
Kerr will really put him in their place, right?
Listen, these comments are silly, and they're coming from Matt Barnes, who I expect silliness from. Iguodala.
I was surprised at Iguodala.
Yeah,
he's a veteran. Yeah, I was surprised at Iguodala.
It diminishes the game. It's like a big red flag that, hey, we're just out here winging it after a hangover, rather than, again, I couldn't imagine an NFL player, or hell, even a baseball player, and I know they all kick it too, but talking about this, you're in the playoffs. It's supposed to be the most important
You're
time
going to make Jazz fans so angry, they're going to throw O'Douls at you. No, but it is interesting. We know the Cavs, I mean, they flipped a switch. I mean, it's very obvious that the Cleveland's mowing through the East. When I see this, and San Antonio's in real trouble, can we acknowledge the fans are right? The fans turned out the regular season. They just didn't watch the games. The fans have figured this out. We're trying to make these series more interesting than they are. The fans have figured out it's the Warriors. You know, the Warriors aren't even taking Utah seriously.
We're in the semifinals, and you're saying it's over. It's going to be Warriors.
Absolutely.
Well, everybody's saying that.
Yeah,
I mean, it is going to be.
It seems like a little knee-jerk to me. I don't know, but
knee-jerk.
Listen, the Toronto Raptors
beating Golden State or Cleveland.
The Toronto Raptors took, I believe, 2 games last year from the Cavs in the series.
And the margin of victory, despite that, was 15 points.
This is fair.
There were blowout wins.
You guys are acting like it's over.
You don't think it's disrespectful. You don't think this is disrespectful.
It is. Totally disrespectful.
I've never ever.
To who?
To Utah.
It is disrespectful.
The state of Utah or the players?
No, the players. You're basically saying you're not even talking about the games. You're talking about going to Applebee's later.
You're essentially telling
totally
Gordon Hayward, don't stay in Houston. There's nothing fun to do
No,
there.
when
Get out of town.
If Michael Jordan played in Utah, you think you'd be worried about the nightlife? You were going into a war.
But that's the point. Michael Jordan doesn't play there. I mean, it's totally disrespectful. Utah just doesn't have the juice to make them pay.
Okay, they just opened a Cracker Barrel. That city's coming into its own.
I want to translate what they're actually saying. Honest to goodness, I'm gonna clean it up a little bit. They're complaining about the stripper quality.
Oh,
seriously,
come on.
that's all it is. And I'm cleaned it up there because I'm really not talking about stripper quality. It's a different kind of quality. It starts with an H.
You think I'm reaching?
This is the Speak For Yourself podcast featuring the best of Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. I'm your host, Jason McIntyre. It's starting to get good, folks. Steph Curry's playing tonight. NBA playoffs starting to pick up. I don't know. I know my Knicks fans are counting down the days until the draft lottery. That's all we've got to look forward to. Folks, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube, all the social media, although we are not officially on Snapchat. I'm working on Whitlock and Cowherd. They're trying to navigate those hurdles. It's difficult. Hey, quick note. If you don't think that we're headed toward an 18 playoff in college football, I wrote something today. When you see these star players sit out, like McCaffrey and Fournette, and you see what happened to Jake Butt with his injury, I'm telling you, folks, next bowl season, if you're not in the playoff and you're looking at a first or second round pick, you need to sit out. It's smart. It's a business decision. We'll talk to you tomorrow.